Welcome back everyone, and today we'll be continuing off where we left off. So far in After Effects we have just put in our images, and now we're going to go about and creating our animation. So what we want to do, let's just zoom in so you can see clearly. So if you go on the layer, the spiral layer right here, there's a little arrow right here. If we click on this arrow, it twirls down to this other section right here, which is called transform. Twirl that down as well, and then you get like all these options on how you could manipulate your image and manipulate the layer that you're working with. So for instance, position, you got like these numbers here, right? What do these numbers mean? Let's find out. So if you click and drag left or right, see this is on the x-axis, so it'll change the position left and right. Similarly, if you were to click on this side, which changed y-axis, meaning going up and down. I'm gonna Control Z to bring it back to normal. That's position. Scaling is when you could actually scale up and down. Wait. And rotation is what we're going to be working on momentarily, where you get to rotate the direction where you want the image to go. And opacity, which is like the transparency of the image, so you can make it fade in, fade out, like a ghost or something. So today we're just going to work with rotation. We don't need to work with all these other stuff yet. Okay, so with rotation, there's two numbers here. So you got this 0 here and this 0 here. So let's just talk about this one right here. This one is the degrees on how much rotation would you like. So would you like 180 degrees or like 360? But if you notice, if I drag it all the way to 360, it doesn't go 360, it just goes back to 0. But you will notice that this number here turns to 1. That's because like this number right here determines how many full rotations do you want in the layer that you're trying to work with. So for instance here, it's just one full rotation. So if you were to try to, let's see what happens if we just play this. So you can press spacebar to play the video. So the video is playing, but you see nothing's happening. You may ask, what's going on? I thought we were making animation. So the idea is that you did make that full rotation, but you did not give it an animation. You just told it that, you know what, I just want it to be stuck like this. We don't want it to be stuck like this. We want it to actually like move. So we want to do return this back to 0. So if you click there and just type 0, it'll go back to 0. What we want to do is make keyframes. So to do that, like there's these stopwatches right here. If you click on the one for rotation, which is right here, it turns blue, and you get this diamond here, and you get a diamond right here. That is a keyframe. So what a keyframe is just like a specific position on what your object would be doing at that particular time. So at 0 seconds, right here we have a keyframe, and we want this rotation to be 0, 0. So if I were to drag this timeline, so if I were to go like somewhere like 2 seconds, yeah. So you could see that that diamond that was blue earlier turned gray. That's because we could add that's because we could add like a different keyframe. It's not the same one we were working with earlier compared to this one right here. So if we go back to 2 seconds, we could add a new keyframe by clicking here. And there we go. There's our new keyframe. So in this one, we want to change the values to make it different from this one so that we could apply, so a full animation can happen between this and this. So, like what we did earlier, so instead of 0, we put 1. Now if we go back and just play it, there we go. We made our animation. See, it was very simple, right? All I have to do is just make 2 keyframes, one that says 0, 0, and our next keyframe, just scrub a bit and just put 1. And that's it. And you make this animation. Now it's pretty slow. If you wanted to make it faster, you just add more rotations. So instead of 1, you could put 3. And now if we go back, it's going faster, right? So you may notice that like after the 2-second mark, it just stops. Right? It doesn't go any further, and then you got this whole space just kind of like stuck, right? So if you want to if you want to actually make a 30-second video, I mean, that's a pretty long video for something as simple as this. But if you wanted to keep it like this, then what you can do is take this keyframe, and instead of just keeping it at 2 seconds, let's just throw it all the way at the back. So here you can put it at 30 seconds. But try not to go too far back, or else it's going to be lost in the abyss over there. So you can put it right here. But what I normally do, I just drag my timeline scrub thingy there, and just grab this, and then hold shift while you do it, so then it just kind of locks in like this. So it doesn't go like further back. So now if you play it, you can see it works, but like it's really, really slow. And the reason for that is because even though three rotations was good for 2 seconds, but like when you're putting 30 seconds in, like 3 rotations is not enough. So maybe we could change this 3 to 30. Now if you go back, you can also press this arrow to go back between keyframes like this. So if you go back to this one and then press play, now it's going smoothly. And I guess like if you want to go even faster, you just change that 30 to like something much bigger, like 60. Yeah, like that. So you notice that, see, like as I scrub through this timeline, like you see the numbers are just going up. Like starting 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. See, so that's because like it's going according to what you said in one keyframe versus the other keyframe. So that's why I should always remember, like when you're working with keyframes, try to make the first one you're working with, like try to keep it like 0, 0, and then have something different. Like you always want to make sure that 2 keyframes have 2 different values, or else nothing's gonna happen. So now that we got our animation working, I'm gonna change this back to, wait, let me just change this back to 30. Okay, so we got our animation, right? Now what we want to do is just apply it to the other eye. So what we want to do is duplicate, we could just make another one where we could just grab this image here, drag it down here, we make another one, then we could just scale, and then we could put it there, and then add the animation and whatnot. But that will take a lot of time. What we could do, since we already have an animation here, why can't we just make a copy and move it over? So let's just do that instead. So if we go on the top of our panel here, where it says Edit, if you click on that and you scroll down, you see this thing called Duplicate. So the layer that you have selected, which is Spiral, I have here, if you click on Duplicate or Control D, which I normally use, it makes a duplicate of that same image alongside with the animation that you made with it. So you can see there is a duplicate because now like these lines are a lot more thicker, more blacker. That means there's something on top of our spiral. So what we can do is just move it by dragging it, and then we can put it over here. And there we go. Look at that. Now we got like our full animation. But I'm going to try to make it smaller. So I'm going to just drag it, like hold shift I do it, and just make it a little bit smaller. Pretty cool, huh? Now, if you wanted to, this is optional. Like if you twirl down the arrows here and transform, you could actually flip it so it will actually make so if you want like the spirals to go in different directions, like one side's going this way, the other one's going this way, what you can do is you can change the scale. So scale means if you change the scales, you can actually even flip your image. It doesn't always have to be like make it big or small. You can actually flip it. So if you go to the value here, like it's linked here, so like whatever value you put here will affect this one here, the X and Y axis. So if we go to the first part, like before the 5, just add a minus to it. If you add a minus and press enter, now like the values have been changed. Now it's been flipped. Like it's been flipped horizontally and vertically. So if you play it, and then look at that. And also you can apply it for the other one too. So for your other layer that you had, you can also change the scale, add a minus, and then maybe you could have it like this. But for now, I'm just going to keep it like this because I don't know, I just like that. All right. So yeah, that's pretty much it. But you may think, but what about these eyelashes? You could see through these eyelashes here, and it kind of ruins the immersion, right? And you would be right. So we could try to get rid of them. actually, before we end off this video. So what we want to do, you see these in your layers over here, there's eyeballs on each one of them. If you click on these eyeballs, they disappear. No, we did not delete them or anything. We just made them hidden so we don't so we could actually work on other stuff like try to remove these eyelashes, right? Without having to actually delete the layers entirely. So if you even click on it back again, they return. So don't worry about it. They're just hidden, that's all. Okay, so to get rid of these, there's a lot of methods that you can use. The one that I personally like using is just fill it up with a box or something. So if we go to layer on the top and click new and click on shape layer, we made a new layer. It's also a different color. It's called shape layer 1. So in this one, what we want to do is we can click on our rectangle tool, which is right here. You can even change it. If you hold on, click and hold, you could have like different options like stars, polygon, like circle, rounded rectangle, whatever. We're just going to work with rectangle, and if you drag, you could actually make a rectangle. And there we go. As you can see, it already made like a. You can even scale it. Like if you move around to scale the points here. There we go. Okay, so the reason why it's already this color, okay, yours will probably not even have a color. So in that instance, what you want to do is at the top it says fill, right? Normally your fill will have like a red cross over it. So if you click on that, you get this kind of box to open up where you can put any color you want, as you can see. But if you want to make sure that matches the skin color of this character, you would click on the eyedropper tool. The eyedropper tool means that you could pick out a specific color that's already pre-existent on the image itself. So if you click on this, as you can see, it's already doing its work. So like it's already picking up colors from everywhere. So we want to make sure that's close to the color of the skin color of UE here. And then if you click on it, it will keep that proportion. And then you click OK, and there we go. I know it's not perfect. Like I would probably use the pen tool and just kind of draw over it like this. I wouldn't use a box. But to make this tutorial as easy as possible, I'm just going to keep it the way it is. And for this one, I could just duplicate this layer. So Control D, or edit. I forgot. Oh, duplicate. And just drag that over here. Make it smaller. As you can see, it's kind of different from when you try to make it smaller. It's doing this weird thing where it's just moving around like that. That's because the anchor point is down here. I mean, I can mess around with that, but it doesn't really matter for this video. So even if it's moving like this, don't be surprised. Just make it small like this, and then just make it bigger. And just try to fit it in properly. There we go. As you can see, now she has no eyes, which is kind of scary. And now we can bring back our swirly layers. So as you can see, the eyeballs are still off for these two. So let's turn them back on. And there we go. But wait, these things are covering them. So what do you think we should do in this point? Well, as you can see, these layers, these spiral layers, are below the shape layers. Because the shape layers are above of them, that's why they're in this image, they're above. So what we want to do is take these spiral layers. So if you take these two, hold shift so we could select both of them at the same time. And just drag them above the shape layers. Let me just try that again. And there we go. Now it's above instead of below. Now if we can just play it, there we go. Looks like it's actually part of the anime. So that's it for this tutorial. I will be making more videos on other dizzy effects that you can apply to your characters, whether it's just like an image or even like a full-fledged video. So be sure to stay tuned for all of that. And I hope you guys like this new content I'm putting out. Anyways, I hope you all enjoy, and remember to stay dizzy.